Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back on another episode of Anarchy Road. This is our series that is dedicated to Necromunda Ash Waste Battle Reports, and this is battle report number 2. This battle is actually fought between my two friends, Iron Major, who will be playing Thundrik's Profiteers, and Ironhead Squat Prospector gang, versus my other friend, Dark Lord Mac, who is playing the Water Seekers, which is an Ash Waste Nomads gang. This is going to be fought in what is known as a cargo run scenario. Iron Major is the defender in this battle report. He is trying to take his cargo of goods and try to ship it across the wasteland, across the tabletop, and get to the trailing edge. At the same time, trying to avoid being attacked by the insectile hordes of the Ash Waste Nomads. So for those of you guys who are tuning in for the first time, this is our second battle report for our Season 2 of Anarchy Road. Just to give you guys a little FYI, in case you guys didn't watch the introduction paragraph, if you notice, we have two scorpion-looking creatures. These are called rad scorpions, what they're called. These are the giant vehicles that we'll be using for my friend for the Ash Waste Nomads. The Ash Waste Nomads don't have any access to any macro insects beyond the dustback Hellamite, which is kind of weird because you would think they would have like larger insects that they could actually ride upon and actually, larger bugs to transport their goods and stuff. So to do that, we're actually using these rad scorpions as if they were walker type vehicles that can take transport beds to represent the fact that the Ash Waste Nomads could use larger insects as well. Now, don't let their size beguile you. They're actually quite flimsy because they are just walker type vehicles. And instead of using mechanical things, we'll just pretend that it's part of their upgrade as giant bugs and arthropods anyways, and see exactly what happens to them as they take damage and so on and so forth as the battle report continues. So that being said, real quick, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll talk about the scenario rules. We'll also show you photos of both gangs as well as the rosters. So we'll be right back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is Cargo Run. It takes place in the deep waste, which means that there's rolling ash, which means moving faster than 6 inches counts as being in partial cover. Now the season is the Season of Flame with 24-inch visibility rules in effect and is a rolling roads battlefield. Now in this scenario, my friend Iron Major will be the defender in this scenario, while my other friend Dark Lord Mac will be the attacker in this scenario with the Ash Wastes Nomad. Now deployment starting with the gang with the highest gang rank, take alternating turns deploying within 12 inches of the trailing edge. No model can be placed with 1 inch of an enemy model. Victory conditions: if the attacker destroys the vehicle carrying the cargo, then the winner, otherwise the defender wins. And of course, the rolling roads rule is in effect, which means at the end of every turn, you move down all the terrain 8 inches and put on D3-1 terrain new pieces on the leading edge. Now the cargo on this one is that the defender will designate one vehicle to carry the cargo, and at the start of the second round and each round after, the defender rolls a D6 and adds a turn number to see if they reach their destination. On a 10+, this round is the very last round of the battle. At the same time, before rolling, the defender must determine the route that they will add the route's bonuses to the roll. You could have a +0 for open-sided battlefields, +1 for a battlefield that has cliff sides, +2 for a battlefield that has cliff sides with ash crusts, which means the vehicles move less than 8 inches, they fall through and go out of action, and you roll for lasting injuries and lasting damage, and a 3+ if you decide to use impassable sides which are on fire, and which takes a blaze test for all models, and all vehicles must make a loss control test at the end of their activations. Now for the rewards on this one, you earn 46 times 10 credits to the winner. Both groups for experience earn 1 point of experience point for participants and +1 experience point for the vehicle carrying the cargo if it survives. Now for reputation, the winner earns D3 points of reputation, and if either gang bottles out, they lose 1 point of reputation. So with the scenario rules over with, we're going to play some background music. As the music is playing, we'll show you photos of both gangs as well as the rosters. You can take a pause and take a look at your own leisure. So let's go and talk about deployment first for Thundrik's Profiteers, the Ironhead Squat Prospectors. On the left-hand side, that vehicle is called Halgarak Yashdek. It is a gearhead who operates a custom walking vehicle. That gearhead also has photo goggles. Their walker has transport bed, extra armor, nitro burners, as well as a mining laser and a boarding ramp. And on board that vehicle as well as Kazgandrax, who is one of the drillkin. He's armed with mesh armor, a power axe, as well as an Ironhead stub gun with dum-dum rounds. In the center of that vehicle is called Halvadar, the Dark Side. It is operated by a gearhead with photo goggles. It has a rock grinder truck with twin-linked autocannons, a rock grinder ram. It's also got weapon stash, tire claws, nitro burner, as well as smoke vents. And on board that vehicle are a couple of the fighters. In the back is Bjorgen Thundrik, the Chartermaster. He's armed with mesh armor, an Ironhead flamer, an Ironhead stub gun with dum-dum rounds, as well as the Iron Will skill. And on board is also Enric Ironhell and Galdan Rivet Fray. They're both drill masters, armed exactly the same, with mesh armor, Ironhead bolt guns, Ironhead stub guns with dum-dum rounds, and dependable Lycan skills. And then up in the front we also got Deadeye Lund, who's a drillkin who's got mesh armor as well as an Ironhead melt-a-gun, and he's also the gang specialist. And finally, on the right-hand side, we have another vehicle called Tholian Razorhull. He's a gearhead who operates a walker custom vehicle. Tholian has photo goggles, and the walker has a transport bed, extra armor, nitro burners, a mining laser, as well as a boarding ramp. And on board that vehicle, as well as a drillkin named Floki Crazy Eyes. He's got mesh armor, a power axe, as well as an Ironhead stub gun with dum-dum rounds. And that makes deployment for Thundrik's Profiteers for this one. So up next, we're going to talk about Dark Lord Mac's deployment with his gang, the Water Seekers, which is Ash Waste Nomad gang. Up on the top, that is Kassanon's Needle, which is a Rad Scorpion. On board that Rad Scorpion, it's got a walker custom vehicle, basically. We're going to treat it like a giant insect, though. It's got claws, which acts as a ram, as well as nitro burners. It's got a transport bed, as well as mining laser, boarding ramps, as well as body spikes. It's also a walker as well. And on that vehicle is Marduk Silent Harvest. He's a Watcher champion. He's got mesh armor, a charge caster with shock blast, as well as crack rocket. He's got a blast pistol, rocket pack. He's also got a photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle, and trick shot. Also on board that vehicle are Numinia Farsight. He is a warrior who's got mesh armor, long rifle, scavenge stub gun, knife, rocket pack, photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle. He's also a specialist. And then we have Cerelia, which is a dust runner who's armed with mesh armor, a blast carbine, as well as scavenge stub gun, knife, photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle, as well as a fast learner skill. And then right next to them, of course, on the right hand side, we got our 3 dust runners. On the left hand side, that is I'm sorry, not dust runners. I'm sorry, those are dust riders. We have Azeron the Swift, as well as Sanctia the Dust. Both those guys are equipped exactly the same. Both have mesh armor, chain lances, blast rifle, dustback helamites, photo goggles, as well as ash cloaks. They got Born in the Saddle, hot-headed, and fast learner skills, as well as the mighty leap skill. And then also in the middle right there is Emilius Halo, which is a Stormcaller champion. That fighter's got mesh armor, as well as riding upon a dustbite helamite. They got a blast carbine, a star color staff, photo goggles, and ash cloak. They got the Born in the Saddle, Call the Storm and Bring It Down, and mighty leap skills. And lastly, we have Akalor of the Forge, which is another Rad Scorpion as well. It's also could be considered a walker custom vehicle with claws, which act as rams. It's got nitro burners, a transport bed, as well as mining laser for weapons. It's got boarding pikes, as well as body spikes, as well as the walker special rule. And leading that vehicle is the Saints Tier, which is the chieftain of the gang. That guy's got mesh armor, a web gun with a blast pistol, photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle, as well as a munitioneer skill. After that, we also have another wearer named Lucia's Regret, who is a wearer armed with mesh armor. He's got a long rifle, scavenge stub gun with knife, a rocket pack, photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle, and the specialist skill. And then finally, we also have Octi on that vehicle. Also, that vehicle of the giant bug. That's a dust runner. They have mesh armor as well as a blast carbine with scavenge stub gun. They also have a knife, photo goggles, ash cloak, sky mantle, as well as the fast learner skill. And that pretty much makes up deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, let's talk about battle plans.
Alright, so now that we're done talking about battle, so we'll talk about the scenario as well as deployments real quick. Let's go and talk about the battle plans on this one. So, my friends' battle plans are actually quite simple. Our major's goal is to make it all the way to the end of the table and try to avoid getting hit with debris on the road because there is rolling road rules in effect. At the same time, Dark Lord Max will try to stop him as best that he can. He will try to do some boarding actions, he told me, so try to get on board the vehicle, try to stop it that way. His gang doesn't actually have a lot of high strength attacks because he is an Ash Waste Nomad, so he's planning on doing like close combat assaults and that kind of thing, using ride-by rules and such, or to take out his enemy, and that's pretty much what his plan is on this one. So with the battle plans over with, let's go directly to the top of turn number 1, and both of my friends roll off for initiative to see which of them will be going first. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 1, and my friend Iron Major gets to go first. The first thing he does, he activates Bjorgen Thundrik. Bjorgen Thundrik also does a group activation to his 2 walker vehicles, powered by Halgarak Ash Deck, as well as, Thulian Razorhull. So what ended up happening is that before they actually departed, my friend Iron Major decided to open fire with his Ironhead Flamer directly into the member who is the little champion here. His name is Amelia's Halo, which is the Miyatari Stormcaller. Managed to put that guy with, managed to whack him pretty good with that flare. Managed to put a flesh wound on him as well as a blaze template on him too. So because he will need to take a blaze test the next time he activates as well. Meanwhile, the 2 walkers over here on the top as well as the bottom, this guy over here, his name is Thulian Razorhull. He actually moves up, does a simple movement to move up directly forward. Because of that, he was able to move up forward and then do another move and fire turn, so basically he was able to move up 9 inches in total. And because it's a walker, it could take unlimited turns as it moves around, so it turns 180, it opens fire real quick with its mining laser directly into this bottom Radscorpers called Akolor of the Forge. It managed to put a penetrating hit on the hull, taking 1 point of hull damage to it, as well as making them take a handling check. Luckily for this crew though, they did survive their handling checks, so they're perfectly fine. At the same time, Halgarak Ash Deck does exactly the same thing, moves up a normal movement of 6 inches, does a move and fire for 3 inches, turns 180 because it's a walker, open fires its mining laser directly into this Rad Scorpion called Kasanan's Needle, and also managed to put a penetrating hit on his hull as well, giving 1 point to its hull damage. At the same time, forced to take a handling check. Now, both of these, of course, pass their handling checks because they're both just 4 up because they're walker characters, but at the same time, pretty devastating first turn for Iron Major. Meanwhile, his driver, who's the very last of his activations, basically just kind of pushes it in overdrive, moves as quickly as he can, tripling his distance all the way up directly towards the middle of the table, moving up 18 inches. And that pretty much makes up Iron Major's first sets of activation. So with that being said, we go directly to my friend Dark Lord Mac. Alright, so continuing on turn number 1 for Iron Major, not for Iron Major, I'm sorry, for Dark Lord Mac, some just pretty extreme things happened. So first of all, this vehicle over here, well, this giant Rad Scorpion, Alacor of the Forge, it actually did a ramming action directly into the bottom of the walker over here, which is Thulian Razorhull, which is this walker over here. Did a ramming action directly into it. Now, nothing much really happened there, but the crazy part that did happen, however, though, was an attack. What ended up happening is that champion, his name is, Marduk Silent Harvest, he opened fire with his charge caster, firing a crack missile directly into this walker. So Thulian Razorhull does take damage directly towards his drive, and because it does become stalled, so it's pretty much stuck at this time period, so it really can't do much of anything. However, for Iron Major's next activation over here, he then decided to act up his champion real quick. So he activated one of his champions, his name is Gul'dan River Frey, did a group activation with Deadeye Lund. Gul'dan River Frey opened fire with his bolt gun directly, his Ironhead bolt gun directly into the Rad Scorpion Alacor of the Forge. Managed to put a penetrating hit on that, causing catastrophic damage. Managed to put 3 hull point damage on this thing, so this, because of that, on his drive, and has -2 to his handling. We're just going to pretend that the Rad Scorpion got some injuries done to its legs, so it can't move as quickly as it used to. So this thing is actually almost DRT. It's almost getting wrecked on that part. Meanwhile, at the same time, Deadeye Lund does try to open fire with his multi-gun. Luckily for my friend Dark Lord Mac, though, he misses his shot. He rolls a 1 to shoot, so because of that, nothing much really happened there. As you see, it's getting pretty violent real quick between these 2 characters over here, especially over here between these Rad Scorpion as well as his walker vehicle. So because of that, we continue on with the rest of turn number 1 for Dark Lord Mac. Alright, so continuing on the activations over here on the top side, what ended up happening is that my friend Dark Lord Mac activated his leader, the Saints tier, which is the chieftain of the Ash Waste Warband, does a group activation with Kazaman's Needle, which is the walker. The walker moves up his normal moon allowance and then does another base action, open fire with his manning laser. Managed to put a swerve result directly onto the walker over here, which is Halgarak Ash Deck. What ended up happening is he managed to hit the crew and cause a catastrophic damage, which means the driver blacked out. It did swerve 45 degrees to the left because it got hit that way. So because of that, as you can see, this vehicle is pretty much stalled at the same time, as well as the driver is blacked out. Which means that if my friend Iron Major wants to be able to do this, at the end phase, just roll a d6 to see if the driver's awake or has been left unconscious. Now, meanwhile, because of the rest of the group activations, the Saints tier with the chieftain does open fire with his web gun. Unfortunately, is unable to wound Kazgan Draxgear, which is the crew member that's on board this vehicle. And the reason why is because the armor save is armor save 5, so he was able to get a 6 on that one, so nothing much happened there. And after that, Numeria Farsight, which is one of the Ash Waste Warriors, tries to open fire with his long rifle, but unfortunately misses the shot. So pretty violent so far with this one. A lot of vehicle combat taking place right here in the back at the 6 o'clock position, which is absolutely really cool. So continuing on now with Iron Major's activations. So, concluding the action phase of turn number 1, we actually had quite a bit of dramatic things happen here. So, first of all, let's talk about over here first. So, from the Walker vehicle, this guy, Floki Crazy Eyes, the normal Drillkin, he decides to charge directly into Akalor of the Forge, which is the Rad Scorpion, managed to attack it with his stub gun as well as his power axe, was able to put a glancing hit directly onto the drive. So, because I did swerve over to the left-hand side, 45-degree angle, which is actually kind of crazy. Almost caused this thing to actually swerve, which is kind of cool. Meanwhile, the Dust Spike Helamites, the Dust Rider, Sanctity of the Dust, as well as Azaradon the Swift, also move foot forward. From there, Kazgan Draxcure decided to charge directly from this Walker vehicle directly into Azaradon the Swift, the Dust Rider. Unfortunately for Iron Major, he flubbed his attack roll, so because of that, Kazgan Draxcure was unable to do anything at all. However, Azaradon the Swift actually attacked twice with his Chain Glaive, got through his armor save, hit him twice, actually put a serious injury on him, and because he also has that skill which allows you to actually attack with your Dust Spike Helamite, managed to finish off Kazgan Draxcure with an out cold result. So because of that, he will no longer participate in the battle report, but he will make a full recovery, so no harm, no foul, and chalk first blood up to the Ash Waste Nomads of the Water Seekers. Finally, over here in the back, we have this character over here. His name is Marduk Silent Harvest. Oh, sorry, Emilius Halo, which is the Stormcaller. He actually failed his blaze test, so because he does burn directly and he goes back 6 inches, so because he will no longer participate in the battle report either because he fell off the table edge, and at the same time net another blood for the Thundrik's Profiteers for the Ironhead Squat Prospectors. So that being said, that takes directly to the end phase. Alright, so that takes directly to the end phase of turn number 1. As you can see, all the terrain has shifted to the right 5 inches. It is moving across the battlefield. No new terrain has popped up yet whatsoever. Iron Major is still pretty confident about his ability to survive this one, so he decides not to take any risk on the road. He keeps on just going forward on just normal roads as well. As you can see though, however, the Ash Waste Nomads are slowly overtaking him, managed to put one of his fighters out of action for Iron Major. At the same time, the Iron Major was able to put one of Dark Lord Mac's fighters out of action as well, so looks like it's pretty good. However, though, this vehicle over here is stalled and stationary, which is pretty bad. At the same time, though, good news for Iron Major, though. One of his pilots over here for this vehicle, this guy actually making a full recovery, actually wakes up. Now, unfortunately, it is stalled, so it does have some problems going forward, but at the same time, that's the risk that Iron Major is willing to take. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2. My friends roll off for initiative to see which of them will be going first. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 2, and the Ash Waste Nomads managed to get the initiative on this one. So starting over here real quick, what ended up happening is that Iron Major decided to take his, not Iron Major, Dark Lord Mac, decided to activate his champion, Marduk Silent Harvest, who actually has a group activation with Castanet Needle, the Rad Scorpion. Both of them opened fire with their Charge Caster as well as their Mining Laser directly into this walker over here in the top, which is Hulgarak Ash deck. Now, unfortunately for them, the Mining Laser actually hit, but it actually failed to wound, so nothing much happened there. At the same time, the champion's caster actually missed and actually cast away, and Anasol Isri also suffered an ammo roll as well. However, though, he does have crew members with rocket packs on board this Rad Scorpion, so it's not going to cause him any problems whatsoever. However, the most dramatic action, though, took place over here with Iron Major. So Iron Major decided to activate his driver first. That character's name is Halvadar the Dark Star. He actually does a simple action to move up forward. His normal movement allowance is 6 inches, and did a basic action to move and fire. So he moved up forward 3 inches, decided to do turn a 90-degree angle, so that way he could bring his twin-linked autocannon to bear and open fire directly into these two Dust Riders, Azaradon the Swift, as well as Sanctity of the Dust. Managed to put serious injuries on both those guys. Now, everyone passed their cool test, so because that these vehicles are not fleeing. However, though, managed to put serious injuries on both of them, as well as put a flesh wound directly onto Azaradon the Swift. So that part was pretty epic as well. It's kind of like he just burnt out, peeled to the right, and then opened fire with his autocannon, causing all kinds of problems. So with that, we go directly to the rest of the turn for Dark Lord Mac. So continuing on Dark Lord Mac, we then go directly to this bottom vehicle, which is Akalor the Forge, the bottom Rad Scorpion. What ends up happening is that Dark Lord Mac activates his leader, the Saint of Tears. The Saint of Tears does a group of activation. The first thing he does, he opens fire with his web gun directly into Floki Eyes. Doesn't cause any damage whatsoever, so Floki is completely fine. However, he does order the driver, the Rad Scorpion, to ram forward. It does run over, does cause a serious injury to Floki, so because that Floki Crazy Eyes is currently wounded, he is on the ground. Also managed to put a hull point directly onto this walker, which is Thulian, the Razor Hull. So because of that, it suffers a point of wound damage. At the same time, because it's also a group activation, he then activates Octi, his Dust Runner, who then charges directly into Crazy Eyes, managed to put him out of action with alcohol results and also earning himself an additional experience point. Meanwhile, over here on the vehicle for the Rock Grinder, which is the Dark Star, my friend Iron Major then decides to do a group activation with his 2 champions, Galdon Riverfray as well as Enric Ironhell. The 2 drill masters then open fire with their bolt guns. They open up their bolt guns directly into the 2 vehicles, the 2 Rad Scorpions, starting off with Akalor the Forge, managed to get a catastrophic hit on the crew, managed to hit the driver and puts this vehicle in a stall. So because of this vehicle crew need to roll 4 up to see if they could actually have their driver regain consciousness during the end phase. And at the same time, Enric Ironhell does exactly the same thing up here in the top, managed to get that catastrophic hit directly onto the crew on Cassanon's Needle as well. So the driver is currently blacked out and it is also stalled as well. So pretty dramatic series of events taking place over here for the activations. Alright, so finish up the last of the action phase. For the most part, Darklord Mac did try to open fire with his last 2 warriors with their long rifles. Unfortunate for them though, either they missed their shots or they failed to wound, so they're perfectly fine. For Iron Major, he then activated his 2 Walker drivers, Halgarak, the Ash Deck, as well as Thilin Razorhull. Both these guys managed to pass their handling checks in order to get out of their vehicle, not to get out of the vehicles, I'm sorry, to get their vehicles moving again. So because that the standing installed is no longer an issue anymore, so they move up forward their maximum mood allowance with simple movements, moving up 6 inches in order to catch up with the rest of the team. And that pretty much makes up the activations for turn number 2. So with turn number 2 over with for the action phase, we go directly to the end phase. So during the end phase of turn number 2, both players actually passed their bottle tests and no harm, no foul there. However, though, for the recovery phase, though, disaster does strike. Both of these Rad Scorpion drivers are still currently passed out, so they will not be able to move next turn. At the same time, both of the Dust Riders, that is Sancti the Dust as well as Azeron the Swift, do go to action. Azeron the Swift actually suffers an out cold result, so make a full recovery no problem. However, Sancti of the Dust, however, suffers a grievous injury, so because of it, he will miss out on his next game as well. So things are not looking very good right now for the Ash Waste Nomads as my friend Iron Major makes his way to try to escape. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we go directly to the top of turn number 3, and both of my friends roll off for initiative to see which of them will be going first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 3, and we forgot to move the terrain about for the Rolling Roads phase, so I do apologize for that. And of course, as we moved all the terrain down, disaster did strike. One of the players, which is this guy over here, I believe his name is Octi is his name. He's one of the Dust Runners. He did not get, he was outside the vehicle trying to take out Fluky Crazy Eyes. We totally forgot about this pillar. So moved 8 inches and smashed directly into him, putting him out of action with an out cold result as well. So that part was pretty devastating. At this point, as I realized that my friend Dark Lord Mac realized that maybe it's time to call it quits. He already has 1 damage on one of his vehicles, 3 hull damage on his other Walker vehicle, and he realized that Iron Major gets to go first, and he's actually planning on opening fire with his autocannon directly into this. So he decides to call it quits before that actually happens, which ends up ending the scenario with a win for Iron Major as well as for his Ironhead Squat Prospectors. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go directly to the after action report because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, so now it's time for the after action report. First of all, let's start with the Water Seekers. So for the Water Seekers, they suffered 3 injuries in this battle report. Azradon the Swift as well as Octi both made out with out cold results. They made full coverage, no problem. However, Sancti of the Dust, which is one of the Dust Riders, suffered a grievous injury, so they will miss out in the next game. For advancements, no members of this gang advanced, and from their territories, they had Klazamar's Choice, which gave them plus 4 credits. As for the Weird, which is actually one of the territories, it was lost to Thundrik's Profiteers, who decided to take that for themselves to create a trading route with that. Now, for the trading post, they took all 4 credits and placed it directly in their stash. They earned 1 point of reputation from their territories, giving them 2 total. Their new record now is at 0 wins and 1 loss, and the new game rate now is at 2,395 points. Now let's talk about the winners of the scenario, which is Thundrik's Profiteers, which is Iron Major's gang. For his injuries, he suffered 2 injuries on this one, Kazgan Drexkew as well as Fluky Crazy Eyes. Both of those drill can actually made full recoveries because they both got out cold results, so they're perfectly fine. For advancements, no members of this gang advanced at this time, and from their territories from the Beast Run, they got plus 7 credits. They got 12 credits from the Hilt, and they managed to capture the Weird, which they took from the Water Seekers, and gave themselves 10 extra credits on that. Now from the trading post, they earned 29 credits from their territories, as well as 210 credits from the scenario, giving them a grand total of 149 credits in total. With those 149 credits, they purchased grapnel launchers for Kazgan Drexgear, as well as Floki Crazy Eyes, as well as monosites for Enric Ironhell, as well as Gadan Riverfray, which are the 2 drill masters. So now those guys have +2 to hit with their bolt guns when they decide to take an aiming action. At the same time, Kazgan Drexgear and Floki Crazy Eyes can travel 12 inches in any direction with their grapnel launchers. Now, the remaining 29 credits they had left over, they put that directly in the stash. For the reputation, earn 1 point reputation for their territories, as well as 2 points reputation from this scenario, granting them a grand total of 4 reputation in total. The new record now is at 1 win and 0 losses, and the new game rating now is at 2,520 points. So that's good to this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.